You know, when she died, I think a lot of people felt they lost a relative or a friend. And so this is going to continue for, I think, forever. I don't see any stop.
See, I agree with him, but surprisingly, Ingrid Seward gave a very different answer, and well, it stunned me into silence, which isn't easy. Watch.
You have a daughter who's young, who has letters from Princess Diana and, you know, really knew her. When you look at her image as a role model, do you think that's a lasting gift for young girls of that generation?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not sure that people, I mean, Bella, my daughter, obviously will remember Diana because it's so much part of her life, but I'm not sure that young kids will remember Diana.
Really?
I just don't think so. I think she's just, it's a bit too far removed. Sorry, I haven't answered that right, have I?
But no, I'm just stunned. You know, I mean, you're certainly in a position to gauge it much better than I.
I just don't think I think that life moves so fast, the world moves so quickly, that they won't really remember it. And I remember at the time when she died, and then we were all milling around Buckingham Palace, working and things, and there were so many little kids there. I thought, how can people bring these little kids there and stuff them in a pram and drag them around to sort of look at a few flowers? Well, that sounds dreadful, but I just don't. It'll be too long ago for that young generation. I think it was her presence that made her so vibrant. I think the memory will be less.
I don't know, audience. I disagree. I disagree. I'll tell you what provokes heated discussions, or at least it did when I was over in Europe. If you ask them, how do you feel about the fact that Camilla might be queen? People have an opinion. We'll talk about it when we come back. I went back through my scrapbook to try to find the video and the pictures, and I didn't find much, but I was over in England in 1981 when they got married and covering the royal wedding. And of course, I was younger and more idealistic, and I think like many young girls at the time, related to Diana. And I thought, wow, wasn't this the great fairy tale, and aren't they so much in love?
Yeah.
And I thought I saw that kiss on the balcony, and I thought they would live happily ever after.
Oh, Diana was miserable the whole time. She knew, even before the ceremony, that Camilla was the love of Charles' life. And she looked down, while they were saying the vows, she could look down and see Camilla sitting there. And she knew, and I have to live this lie. So that began the downward spiral into bulimia, suicidal depression, all those horrible things she had to cope with.
Now, what about Camilla?
Yeah.
Because it seems like now Charles and Camilla are really sort of coming out, so to speak. They're appearing publicly together.
Well, think of the setback when Diana died. I mean, here he'd been trying to kind of get the public to accept Camilla, and they were starting edging in that direction, and then Diana died. All of a sudden, she's back as the villain, cast as the villain. Now she's creeping back up a year later. She's met William. William apparently was happy to meet her. She has met Harry as well. So Charles is, again, trying to get Camilla accepted by the British public, and I think, to some degree, he's succeeding, and eventually, I'm convinced he'll marry her.
Well, she was very smart, people told me. They liked the fact that she stayed out of it.
Right.
That she didn't try to force herself into the issue.
Yeah, and people forget that they've been in love for 25 years or more. And Diana even came to respect it eventually. She told William, she went on record as saying, I hope to find someone the way your father has found Camilla. And I hope you do too.
That's got to be so weird.
Yeah.
That the boys know all about it. I mean, my gosh, it's in the tabloids, you know, conversations and the whole thing.
Sure, exactly. I mean, you have to live with that kind of a lot. I mean, there are a lot of public people, a lot of women in a position who would have lived with the infidelity of their husband. We know a few. And she, closer to home. But she would not do that. And that was something that I think, that was the thorn in the side of the royal family, but it was also something that endeared her, I think, to the mass of people.
Did you see my little stamps that I collected? Sort of little memorabilia from 1981. She looks
very nice.
So different. Here's what I love about Diana's story. To me, she represents second chances.
Exactly.
And evolution. Allowing herself to grow and be seen as a different woman, because we think of her entirely differently from we did that day when she walked down the aisle in the big billowy dress.
Right, shy Di. Remember the whole thing? She was just this innocent 19-year-old girl, and she evolved into this very powerful woman, really.